So public comments, any public comments? So it's just the four of us thus
Okay.
far. So, review minutes from meeting of June 20th, 2024. Any, additions, corrections, deletions?
The only thing I noticed is that nothing was mentioned. I think I started talking about pickleball noise.
Oh, okay,
Okay,
perfect.
see, look at, I had that in minutes all ready to go, just in case. Ran us off the
Sorry.
timeline. That was before Virginia, or was that after
Before,
Virginia?
before.
Okay. Browns Court. Okay, how about, I'll just put it right here, tested, bring it to our attention. Tested, share that there have been concerns.
Pardon? Yeah,
How to,
I would say,
shared information
Shared
about.
info-
I would mention
Updated,
the
'cause you can say
expert,
that the next time.
the expert that you referenced, I would mention that in the minutes
yeah, okay.
as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you could
It's Bob
provide that to Jeannie, that would be great.
Unitech.
And did I also mention that, I'm sorry, I can't remember if I spoke to Josh prior or after our meeting about your concerns. So I don't know if it would be
You
reflected in the
didn't, you
minute.
didn't mention it last time, so I assume it's after. I don't recall you
Okay.
mentioning.
Okay,
Right.
perfect.
talking to
Okay,
Josh.
so I'll mention that today, that I had gone in and spoke.
There's been a lot happening, so,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I had some
You
more
shared some
Okay.
studies by, and then you could just tell me his name, or do you know that now?
It's Bob Unitech, and it's UNETICH.
Okay.
it's good to get
What's
it.
his title? Does he have a?
He's an ambassador to USPA.
Okay.
What's USP?
Pickleball
United States
Association.
Pickleball.
Okay.
I figured that one out.
I
But,
not hearing properly either.
yeah. I could type that into United.
I'm gonna double
I
check
will
that
put it in there.
spelling.
Was there anything else?
I had nothing. Kendra, did you have any other corrections
No,
or
nothing from me.
additions? You're good?
Yes, I'm good.
All right. So with that addition, can I have a motion for approval of the minutes?
Can I approve it, even if
Yeah.
I wrote it?
Yep.
Oh, I approve the minutes.
Any second?
Second,
That meeting.
All those in favor of accepting the minutes of our last meeting, which was June 2024, signify by saying aye. Aye. All
Aye.
opposed? Opposed? Please say opposed. The ayes have it. Okay, summary of meetings. So first, I guess, we'll go right into the update from last planning meeting regarding Volunteers Green. Did everyone have a minute to, and I don't even know if everybody got them, email from Fran on her thoughts?
yes.
Did you get that as well? Kendra, did you
I
see
think
that?
so.
Yes, I did.
I think I
Okay.
know what yeah, if,
Um,
talking about the band show.
Correct.
Yeah,
Talking
yeah.
about, the last planning meeting.
Yeah, you responded to it, Jeannie. So
Cause
the
I-
one that she's referring to.
Yes,
Yep.
because I shared my notes with her.
Oh,
And then
you went to the
I can
meeting.
tell you, I went to the meeting.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Could you
yeah,
give us
yeah,
an update,
yeah.
please?
Yes. There wasn't a lot that we didn't hear from Virginia here when
Right.
she was here. There was a couple different things though that I just want to bring up. If the playground stayed where it was, it would be legal in the flood zone.
Right.
But does that make any sense? You know, those were actually Virginia's words, you know? Would moving the playground up higher where there's typically less flood damage make more sense? So they were tasked with looking into the zoning changes that would allow the playground structure to be moved and or whether it stay there currently.
It's all right.
So so it can be. Hello. the playground, well, I'm updating from the planning commission,
Oh.
from notes that were there. We can the town can relocate a recreational structure from one point to another within the floodplain as long as it does not create a negative impact. Structures can be repaired or replaced as long as it does not increase hazards of the floodplain in any way. There could be no new structures, no additional structures. And we knew that it would have to be the
Unless we
same,
replace one of the old structures.
correct, that's replacing.
Yeah, okay,
Or it's or relocating, you
Locating.
can call it.
gotcha.
Yes, because that's, yes, so it can be improved upon or, rebuilt only if it's in similar size to the current playground. So she talked about that here, how we really are gonna have to check like posts and all this stuff. So I said, but what we forgot to ask you here was about the fence, that would certainly be impeding flood. She said, Tyler said that a fence would be approved. That was her words there. And then she just was kind of, well, we talked a little bit, that's the highlights of, I think, the playground. But a couple times during the meeting, different people were having different questions, and her comment was, that's not our task. Our task is to look whether we can move the playground and or keep it where it is. So, and I'll share that. So anyhow, then with regards to the bathroom, I thought this was interesting. If a bathroom were to be built near the playground, the bathrooms by the ball fields would have to be made that much smaller. So, she said we could stretch it to say it's relocating the bathroom if like one stall got moved up there and one stall stayed down there.
Well, that was my question. I was
So-
reading Fran's update as I came up the elevator.
Mhm.
They need to be redesigned anyway
Well,
for ADA accessibility
Yes,
and stuff
yes.
like that. And the doors need to be widened. So
Yes.
couldn't we have one stall and one stall and then
yes,
the other ones up on top?
it just
So-
is not gonna be the footprint any bigger at all. And
But
I know
you wouldn't have to make it smaller by that amount? That footprint wouldn't have to be made smaller? It would just be
Yes,
that
you'd
you
have-
could
you'd
get
have
away with
to-
making less stalls?
No, you'd have to, whatever the size would be that we built up
So you
on the
would
plateau.
Have to take
the
square footage
other
off the building.
Playground building would have to be that much smaller.
So you actually have to take area away from the other bathroom?
Yeah, for example, we talked a little bit about the concession stand,
Yep.
Yeah.
But she also talked about maybe, and this may change now since, the most recent flood, but about even just making some kind of stainless steel single unit that you can hose out, and, there could be one at each place.
Or do we
Um,
just keep using portalets?
I know.
Exactly. And then my
That's
other question
because
is,
those can be moved from
Yeah.
down below.
are there any, I don't want to say loopholes, but are there any areas where there's different rules if you're making something accessible? You know what I'm saying? Right now, we don't have a
Something what?
handicap,
More
something
sensible.
accessible.
Oh, accessible.
We don't have a handicap bathroom now, except for the
Correct.
portalette.
But it's,
So does the ADA supersede planning when it comes to complying with the ADA regulations in a public
Mhm,
space?
mhm.
You see what I'm saying?
I do. I
So
do.
I have that on my notes, that I can't believe that in this day and age, 2024, that something doesn't if we're making changes,
Yes,
that we have to bring it up to accessibility for all.
yeah. I would guess so, but it's gonna have to meet either the planning and zoning are gonna have to change their, I don't know, their approval somewhat, because, for example, if it were a ramp, that's
Right.
gonna create more flood hazard. It will
Right.
catch more flood debris, but a simple bathroom with wider doors should be,
Right.
I would think.
But then in a simple,
I-
just a simple solution would just be remodel the bathrooms so they're handicapped and stay with the portalets at this end of the park.
Well, I would say vice versa,
Or, okay,
because then you could,
I
if
agree.
there is a flood coming,
yeah, I didn't even
you
think of
could
that one.
remove the porta potties,
Yes.
like how they got finally pulled in all the soccer things and got everything pulled up
Yep.
before
It flooded.
Yeah, before it
Yeah.
Flipping
flooded.
them would be a great idea.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
maybe, like you said, they can just go away and
Yeah,
it's one less building to worry about and
yeah.
Cleaning and the expense of it,
Mhm.
moving a portalette is a lot less expensive. Even renting a portalette is less expensive than what they're having to pay each time they have to clean that
Have to
thing.
clean it.
So
Like,
I'm
I don't
inclined to
know-
move it up and then get rid of the one that's there, but that's just my opinion.
Well, did
too.
you guys see the what is it called, RFP that Josh put out about for
Yes,
contractors to bid for all the improvements in the park? And bathrooms was not on that. I mean,
they
he, you know,
probably
so-
redid the one that they did before for the bathrooms singularly.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
but I mean, this
you
was.
guys, I feel like I'm in the
Kids to
dark.
flood.
I apologize.
Yep.
I have been, like, since I got home on Monday.
Okay.
So did the bathrooms get destroyed again?
Yeah,
Had to.
everything did. The
A
park
lot
is
of it.
completely closed right now because of sediment being contaminated. You're not even allowed to have your kids play in the fields or dogs there at all until mid-August. It's absolutely destroyed.
is the last.
Oh my
thing.
God, I
And so-
wanted to leave work and take a walk down there today and I never had time. So I had no
Well, you
idea.
shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's the last thing on a pizza.
No, I
list.
mean, you shouldn't because
Things got completely, like the sidewalks aren't getting done.
I
till
mean,
next
our
year.
road at my house got
Everything's
destroyed,
gone.
Westway Hill got
Right.
destroyed.
We lost our.
I mean,
driveway.
rightfully
Mhm.
so. Their roads are the higher priority,
Yeah,
rightfully
oh,
so.
for
I
sure.
completely agree. It's
Absolutely.
just one of those things that I think it solidifies some of these things that I get why, baseball wants bathrooms still down there and the concept of, well, wouldn't a concession stand be nice? But I'm also sitting here going like, we can't keep doing this. And it would be
Exactly.
irresponsible of us to suggest putting any money into remodeling that bathroom just to put another one up on the hill, in my opinion.
But what I'm thinking, I'm gonna try to pull this up that Josh sent out, cause I read it. All the, it was like they're getting bids to repair the ball fields and he described all the pieces of how to repair each ball field and named it, named what had to be done, named about what would have to be done in the grass, named what would have to be done about the playground, but I don't think anything was there about the bathrooms.
Oh,
Like,
that's good then.
like they may not have even, maybe they have decided it's
They've
not.
decided that they're not going to do it.
I don't know
Let me-
that. I have to.
Let
I
me
have to
see.
figure
I'll try and
out
pull it up
Oh,
too.
where to
I-
go for my
Well,
downloads
the
here.
amount of money that they're gonna
So-
sink into
so
that
that's what
playground
I think-
to Fix it. It's
Is-
gonna
It would
be
be
like
Crazy.
another $67,000. Cause that's what it cost last time.
Yeah,
That's ridiculous.
I mean, and he has people breathing down the back of his neck
Okay.
just to get the playground fixed,
Yeah.
let alone.
well, that's something we can look into.
Mm.
He
Maybe I
wants
can
his
pull it up
house.
here while we're
Yeah.
at some other point, but
Yeah, so it
I don't
says,
think-
I have it pulled
I
up.
don't-
I don't know if
oh,
I can
you got it?
share. I don't
Yeah.
think I can share unless they set me up with the ability to let me see. The host has to give me the ability to share. So if you do it on that computer and you hit, there's a little arrow next to share.
You see
And
it?
then in there, it should give an option to say
Uh-huh.
all participants can share.
Is there an all participants?
One, multiple participants
Yep.
can share simultaneously, that one?
Yep.
Okay, I hit it.
Okay, let's give it a second.
Megan's running the computer.
Okay, She did perfect. she did it.
Yay.
Yes.
Okay, let me just put my, I don't know where all y'all went, but that's okay. I can't see you, but okay.
Oh, we're up in a
We can
little
see the
tiny box at
documents.
top,
You can see the
so-
document. So, okay.
Yeah.
So this is kind of where it starts. The playground.
Each
Ball
one of those
fields.
numbers is the damage that needs a bid to be repaired.
Kendra, can you send that to me after?
Sure.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Oh my
But see, the
lord.
bathroom's not on there, is it?
Let me keep going.
Yeah.
Dugouts.
Yeah.
Dugouts, fences, parking lot at the end. Playground.
That was, and the road, yeah. See, no bathroom in
Oval.
there.
Yeah, I don't see
So
anything
where
about the
does, like,
bathrooms.
Little League, the baseball league, and do they, and FEMA, how many times can they go through FEMA to get clay again?
Well, that's what I think I want to
So I
talk about
thought,
too in this, but
I
you want,
thought, oh, go ahead.
I mean,
Go
you
ahead.
want me to finish this part
Yeah.
first and then we'll,
And then we'll get
because I
into
have
it.
questions about different things too.
Okay.
I'm gonna stop sharing. Hold on.
So, well, so that was, but that fit, you know, so there, the town isn't even, sounds like with that, isn't even planning on repairing the bathrooms, is what, the way I took it when I saw that, unless he just forgot to put the line in there. That's
Or
kind of
Or
what
he
I,
thinks it's well, it could also be a different type of contractor to do that kind of work than this type of work. And so they could need somebody who does different. That was
There
a
could be
cleaning service
another
that they used before.
RFP.
that's a good point,
They used
okay,
a cleaning service the last time.
yeah,
Could it-
yeah.
Could it be a FEMA project instead of,
We don't, that's,
yeah?
The-
we don't
They
even.
haven't
our
said that they're
state
getting
has been
FEMA money at all
declared a
yet.
FEMA.
Yeah, the FEMA's a
to
reimbursement, if
be-
it's even classified. The state hasn't been classified yet.
Yeah,
I did find that out
Yeah.
yesterday.
right, they're working on it right now. So anyhow, she was saying that they could stretch that, she thought, again, to say that we're relocating part of the bathroom. But still, for any changes that are gonna need to be made, there's still gonna probably be needed a hydrological study. Any changes to the zoning regs by the planning commission would have to be warned and go through the DRB. So, you know, it could be.
Who
a
has
long
final say,
process.
planning or DRB?
Good question. I didn't quite know that.
Okay.
To even ask that. And I mean, we could, I don't think that was talked about.
Okay,
So then Gary Bresser was there and he asked about the band shell. And Virginia just stated again that their task was to look at the playground, not the band shell, but then she did make a few comments. She said a repair or replacement would have to have a similar footprint as the old one. It would have to be approved by planning. She said, does a more open type of building have less impact as to flow? Would ramps in the old bandstand impact flooding? Does it cost more to keep it there? And then she went, wait a minute, that's not our task to look at that at this meeting. But Gary wanted to talk about it some more, and he was upset that we hadn't spent the money for the engineer yet. At least that would give us information to know what to do. And he was, you know, he also had some comments that our committee has too much power.
ours
And that
does?
a lot of these things should be voted on by the community, not a few people. Well, this is part of why I wanted to do an update on Front Porch Forum. And so, and then Mr. Heiser said, yeah, they want to put in a basketball court and a recreation path and more. And Virginia repeated, no new structures. And then somebody asked something else again, and she said, no new structures. And, you know, I didn't want to say, we've already decided not to put in the rec path in, because I thought, I gotta make sure but now it is, because.
Do we want to
Yeah.
vote on it
it can't be done.
so that it can
Well, no,
formally
it
be out
can't be
there?
done. We don't even
Should we
have to
just vote on it so that we can say that we voted it down?
You know, Kendra, that might not be a bad idea. And then it would squelch
Any
The
rumor-
Any
rumor
rumors?
Well,
And have it be in our minutes and have it be out there?
I think
it's
a
not
great
even
idea.
but it's not our.
I know that they won't let
decision.
us do it, but I would
Yeah.
say voting
I
that we're
think
not gonna
people-
propose it.
Yeah,
I think people keep people keep telling me, oh, you're gonna put a walking path. I'm like,
yeah.
no,
You
it's
know,
not.
Kendra, I
Well,
think that's a
that's why I
fantastic
wanted
idea.
to do the Front Porch Forum update. And
Yeah.
Because I think
Fran
following that
we
last
worked on
storm,
it.
it's inevitable. Like, there's no way
Yes.
it's not gonna happen. I think we're all on the
Right.
same page, but putting
Right.
the vote
Yes.
out there and having it be formalized, saying, nope,
Just
we
so
are
we can-
not going to propose, and I'll put it out there. My motion is
Mhm.
to vote on that we are not going to propose a walking path around Volunteers Green to the select board in our plan.
I second that motion.
I third it.
Okay,
Okay, so did you get that motion?
Well, yeah, so I can actually say then also in the update that, you know, we.
So while
we
you're
made a motion.
typing, I'm gonna, all those in favor of Kendra's motion, to not propose a walking path to the select board as stated. We're gonna have you state it again afterwards, signify by saying aye. Aye.
I,
All those opposed? So it's unanimous amongst the 5 of us.
Mhm.
And it's actually
Now, there was
6,
a-
even
yeah,
though Fran's not here to vote, she had stated it in her
Yeah.
documentation.
one, you know, the other thing that that sounds like we're being sort of pointed at as being proposing as basketball court, you know, that's also not something we're suggesting
but
there
I think
either.
It
But
is, and I think because Mark Fossil made it also made another comment too about, well, if we're that strict, we're never gonna be able to put some of those things in. But, I was just gonna, well, maybe I should finish the planning commission meeting
Yep,
then.
go ahead.
When we get to talking
Yeah,
about
go
More
ahead.
discussion.
some of the things we had in Front Porch Forum update, but anyhow, that maybe, or maybe it fits right here. Saying that Pete Goslin gave us 2 scenarios that might work to keep the playground where it is or move the playground up to the higher area. All this, I'd make sure we would make sure you read it before. Fran has just
Totally.
added things and I have. So here, one of the outcomes of this summit was, I talked about the summit. The planning commission was tasked by the select board to do this. And that's, yes, I think a sentence or two. I could just put that up here when we said what we've already decided and not decided. I'll figure that out.
Okay, so
That'll fit it.
planning
So
commission
the-
report out
So the
done.
mission, well, though, then I just wanted to just sort of share this, that Andrew Bissett also was attending virtually. And he says, has anybody thought about putting the playground in front of the old round church?
Yeah.
And again, Virginia stated that was not for the planning commission to discuss. Their task was to, and she
He-
just did those 2
He
things.
also, I will say, sent an email through Duncan to Denise and I stating
Oh,
that.
okay. Yeah, yeah. So
Maybe
anyhow,
we should
that's
let
more,
Fran answer. No.
well,
No,
yeah.
we
So
just need
anyhow.
more land, non-flooding land.
Well, part of, I really think that town center is that park really is the center of the
Yes.
town. And to have that visually right there and where all the other things happen, like, can you imagine if the front porch farmer's market was there and the playground was somewhere else? That would be horrendous. So anyhow, and there'd have to be a fence around the round church green and da. So,
And
yeah,
it is
I
a much
think
more
we just say
dangerous
we-
intersection.
yeah,
Mhm.
that's true. Yeah. So I think that's it's not in our radar yet or now.
Any comments on the planning commission?
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm glad Jeannie brought it up about the playground and somebody suggesting they move it to the Round Church. I was surprised that no one said, why not Brown's Court? But I know it's out of
For that
town
same
and not,
reason,
yeah.
and not- but at the same time, worst case scenario, what's gonna happen if we can't change that? So if we have the bandstand where it is, not moving it or rotating it or anything like that, then the playground, would you,
Well, I think deciding where the playground goes is step 1.
Yeah.
And then step 2 would be deciding what to do with the band
Okay.
shell.
okay,
And I think both of those should have lots of other people in on
Yes.
that decision-making
Mhm.
process.
and maybe
But-
even a townwide vote,
Yeah,
yeah.
seriously,
right,
because this is a
Yeah.
major decision affecting the entire town.
yes.
And, I wouldn't be surprised if
Gotta
it's,
go to the minutes.
if it's a townwide vote with,
Mm-hmm.
and, I like what Fran had to say. Did you get what Fran had to say? So I like what she had to say about, coming up with the prices for the band shell
Mm-hmm.
and the architect. I think it's gonna be so astronomical versus a brand new pavilion. I think the town's gonna say, oh my God, really?
But we need the data to show that.
Totally. So
So,
we need
Yeah,
the structural engineers there,
Yeah.
and then we need, someone that's gonna do the concrete flooring. Then we need someone who's going to shore up the foundation of it. I think it's going to be so astronomical that we will say to ourselves as taxpayers, this is crazy.
At this point, yeah.
And this is crazy. It's gotta go.
yeah. But we're not proposing that at this point.
No, no,
That's
no,
the
but
thing to
we
be,
need
I
to
mean,
get
that's why I
the
want to make
data.
sure
We need to get the
on the
information.
front porch forum that.
So
that's-
even though
yes.
I hate spending the money on the structural engineer, and the fact that we may never go that route, I think we have to prove
Yes,
why we went that route. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Kendra, any thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't really like it, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. I hate spending the money, but I think, I
it-
think it's gonna be so
sorry.
astronomical once we get that structural engineer report. And then we get all the estimates for all the other work that has to be done to make that band shell safe. I think it's gonna be a no-brainer.
And I think those diehards really need to see those figures.
Exactly, exactly. And I
Well,
agree with
again,
Fran. I think
yeah.
this committee needs to take that over.
But
this committee
I feel like
does
if
need to take what?
if we're getting the
Oh.
prices, it needs to be the prices of all of that. Meaning the
Totally.
floor,
Yeah.
the
Yes.
beams. I thought that the pricing of that engineer was only the beams. If I recall correctly, it wasn't all
I
of that. He said
agree.
he
I
couldn't do
agree.
the cement. And so it needs to be all of that, or it's you're just putting a Band-Aid on it, on the issue of all the
Oh,
other
I
concerns we have.
Totally agree.
And so it needs
It,
to be all of it, the cement
it
floor,
has to be the
ramps,
electrical.
railing, electrical,
Yep.
roof,
All
the
rotted wood
beams,
around the front side.
all of the things, and potentially the concept of rotating it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All of
So
that needs to
maybe-
be priced.
Yeah.
So Kendra, maybe at our next meeting, we should come up with a list of things that we think need to be looked at. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, do you wanna, if you wanna?
I think we could just
but you
quickly,
could still
like,
get the structural
the-
engineer now and then figure out what other, go
but
ahead
that's,
and,
he's only
find that
gonna be
person.
able to get the amounts on just the beams was all he was
Correct.
hired to do, and he was
Correct.
not willing to do anything else. The cement, he said,
Right.
would have to be somebody different. And so then are you then shelling out more money to somebody else to do that? And, who does railings? And, I don't know if it's worth, approaching potentially not a structural engineer, but somebody who does that type of work, who would maybe do all of it and price all of it. Because we're going to end up, paying a good chunk of money just to see that it's super expensive. And then we're just
Does
down,
anybody remember what their quote was?
hold on.
Was it 3,500? I can't
No,
remember.
it was like over 5.
I was gonna say, I thought you had said $8,000 at one point. That was.
I
the
can look
answer.
back in my notes and
Yeah.
find out. But oh God, it kills me to pay that money for something we may never use.
Let me see if I can.
And
quickly
he, like
pull
you
it up.
said, he was only gonna do the beams.
Right.
So is there a different company that could do the whole building?
That's a good question.
But again, would the company have to know
Structural.
the
You know what?
structural?
Let me talk to, I have a friend at Bread Loaf that does estimating all the time. Let me talk to him and find out what he would recommend, so we don't spend thousands of dollars getting estimates, and see what they can do.
Yeah,
I got the
And-
number here. Hold on. I'm scrolling
yeah, and I
through.
guess
It's
Gary's.
$6,500.
No, there we go.
Ooh. And that was just for the structural
It
engineer
says it's
to look at the
just,
beams.
yep, the scope of work is reinforcing and replacing the failing truss components, removing the existing slab on grade, and constructing a new wooden floor.
Will
That's
you
what it
read that
was.
again? I'm typing it in.
Yep, reinforcing
Or would you
and
rather
or
send it?
replacing the failed truss components. Item 1. Item 2 is remove the existing slab on grade. And item 3 is constructing a new wood framed floor deck.
But this was just structurally, it wasn't the actual
Doing it.
doing it.
Was the estimate for that correct? Correct, for just, for these things,
Just
Right,
right,
Kendra?
right.
the study of what,
Yes.
Those 3 items. All right. Let me get back next time. Maybe what do you think? Think we should call John Lynn too and see if his firm could possibly give us an estimate on that as well?
Does he do things like that?
That's my question
Well,
too.
Why not?
he
I don't know
wouldn't
exactly
do-
what they do.
He wouldn't do the structural engineer part, but they could do the rest.
Worst they can say is no.
Yeah, let me call John, both Johns, times two. And see where we go.
Yep.
Yeah,
Kendra, do you still have that up?
Yes, you want me to share my screen so you can see it?
No, just read the second one again. Would you
Okay.
please?
Let me go, hold on, go back up.
I got the last one, first and the
remove
last. I think.
wooden floor.
Remove existing slab on grade.
That's it.
I don't know what that
Yes,
means, but
thank you. It is separate from the wooden floor. I was lost there for a minute. Okay, thank you. Well, and I think, again, Gary's comment at the meeting, and then Virginia said, well, that's not something we deal with. But he said, he was really upset that we hadn't done that so far because the select board did make a motion they approved that money and that, it should be spent to look at that.
So
So,
maybe are we ready to pull the trigger and just do that first step with the structural engineers?
I would rather you reach out to those other people first and see if they can do the whole project.
Okay, will do. You got it. Let me talk with both of them and see what they
But I don't
say.
have to be the deciding factor if other people don't agree. That's just
I
my
know,
opinion.
and I don't,
Well,
I get the
you
whole
know what, I
thing.
think it's a great idea, Kendra, to get other people's opinion. I mean, $6,500 is a lot of money.
But how do we? That's like sort of ignoring what the select board.
Yeah,
had
but
made
they
a
could
motion
go
to
and
do.
hire them to do it
Yeah.
any day that they wanted. It's in
We're
their
not
court
spending-
anyway.
We're not spending money on the other
Correct.
two yet. We're just
Yeah.
getting expert advice.
Yeah,
So if they wanted to
know.
go ahead and approach them and have them do it, then they actually have that right too. It sort of became out of our hands and we're just not pushing them along to have it done.
well, and my thought was it was as much too, we needed to wait till after the Volunteer Green Summit.
Right.
That was part of what we wanted to wait for.
Yeah.
Right.
Was to have that, to see if there was even going to be a Volunteers Green,
Exactly.
And that is originally why we didn't go with it, why we didn't do that right away, correct? I mean, I think
Correct.
we all decided
Yeah.
that.
Right.
And
We
then
needed to
we
see what
really-
even was possible, if anything.
Yeah,
If they were saying you couldn't even remodel that in any way, then
yeah. And then this really is our first meeting to talk about
Yeah.
the Volunteers Green, because our other two meetings were focused on,
getting ready
finishing
for
up,
the, yep.
the other two,
items.
the presentation, and then we had Virginia at our last meeting
Mhm.
to,
Get
and
the
that
ball
was,
rolling.
that's what their committee was tasked
Right.
with, so.
And now we can, pretty much everything's going on the other two projects. We can focus all our energies on Volunteers Green.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So. Okay.
So I'm not saying we don't do it at all. I'm just saying like,
Get some
But-
other,
Yeah.
see
Just
if
talk to
anybody
some-
else will also consider it.
Leave my- The whole project.
Okay, are we done on the
and you know
reporting
what
out?
would be a good thing with that, would then be to ask these other people, do you need a structural engineering report before you can touch that?
Oh, that's a great idea.
Those, if we're talking to contractors. And they may say, oh, I have to have that if I
Yeah.
can, before I can even touch it.
Right,
Yeah,
perfect.
This is just us covering all the bases, so nobody can say.
You didn't do
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
homework.
Exactly.
yeah, right.
All right.
This is what we.
So
can tell
the
Gary.
report out on
And
planning meeting.
Denise, you may even be able to get them to price out the potential of the counter building as well. If you did a pavilion with a small bathroom type of structure and have them
I
price out
agree.
both.
And I was tasked, committee, I was tasked to do that last time. And it did not happen before I left to go to Scotland. And I talked to Fran and Fran goes, let me talk with them. And we never touched base. I called her and she'd already left for vacation. So I don't know if she's talked to a John to start maybe drawing. Remember, we had talked about
Yes,
drawings are so
yes,
important.
yes.
Yeah, I
Visuals.
didn't see any emails about that, but we
I
may
didn't
not.
either.
And the same, and I was supposed to get like a sketch from Justin, like a playground sketch to put in that drawing. And Justin, we've got all the information about Brown's Court, the benches and all
Right.
the stuff that they have to do and that quote, but we haven't talked about the playground yet. Because I think again, talking about where the playground should be. And I have a question. Fran mentioned that Bob Marquis came back after our meeting too and talked about how a cement platform could work where the existing playground is. And I don't know who he talked to or where he talked to,
Well,
but I
that
think we
wasn't
need
that this one of the second suggestion that Pete made, that was sort of like,
Yes.
if we can't move it, if it's impossible to move it, then I would suggest. He made that suggestion back in as his
Oh.
secondary plan.
I don't think so. I think he came up with that one later and said, oh, this is a brilliant idea too. But
Maybe, I'm not sure where it originated, but
yeah,
I know
but,
that we've heard it
Bob
at some point
Marquis
before.
was, yeah, Bob Marquis was at the summit.
Right.
And he heard.
And
then
he's an
after-
expert in
yes,
concrete.
Yes, so he talked to somebody afterwards about that. So whether it was Josh or, who it was, it gave, so that would be good to talk to him and find out, or to first, I guess maybe ask Josh, who did he talk to? And, should we just at least have a record of what his ideas were?
Bob Marquis,
Yeah,
maybe invite him to a meeting.
that would be good.
He would love to
Yeah.
come and help, and I
Okay.
know he would help.
Because I
Um,
think we still should kind of,
And I think we should
be
talk to him
looking at the-
about the concrete issue at the band shell, because he might have suggestions on that as well.
Mhm.
And he could be our, like our clerk of the works for the concrete, if we were to fix it,
Mhm.
he could be the overseer of that.
Mhm.
I mean, that man knows concrete. All right, so any other meeting, committee updates, summaries to provide to the committee?
Well, I was going to I can update you the round church.
Oh,
Tables-
good.
Tables and benches have been ordered as of this week, or if not today, they will be by tomorrow. There were all these questions that Josh had to answer just about freight.
So I also
already-
tried to touch base with Josh, and
He's on overload.
he is on overload, and we were playing phone tag, but if you guys don't mind, I'd like to play a message so you can hear what he said.
Okay.
Okay, here goes. Whoops, I'm calling them. Maybe not. Okay, let me put it on speaker. If I can put my voicemail on speaker, maybe.
Mhm.
All right, let's see. I don't know how the hell to put it on speaker. So here is my voicemail from Mr. Josh. So I want to hit that. Okay.
Hard stuff. I was starting to kind of get my arms around and working on.
Can hear that.
Yesterday, I was hoping, but, so unfortunately, that's the update. Not a lot of action. Hopefully, you're going to get back on your feet here and get. So hopefully that might contribute tonight. Sorry, it's not a better update.
Okay, so Josh apologizes profusely. He has been buried in flood issues,
Has been,
but he said he agreed the benches have been ordered.
yes.
He also needs to talk to you about the RFP, or has he already done that?
About what?
The RFP for the pickleball,
Okay.
he's all ready to go with it?
Yep.
Did you get that
Mhm.
too? But he needs to talk to you.
Yeah, he sent me the thing saying that he had a draft of it and that he wanted me to look at it.
Perfect.
And that was, I think, Tuesday evening. Today I had a wicked headache. I said I have to take some medication, but I'm gonna try to get it done tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. So you'll touch base with Josh?
Yeah.
And then he apologized profusely about, he's just been buried.
Oh,
He was all ready to
no.
go with all of the stuff we had gotten approved. And then the flood hit.
Yeah.
So it's taken a back seat, but he said he just got back into it. And he's good with Round Church.
Yes.
But he does need your help with RFPs. So when you're feeling better, if you could.
Yep.
Just make sure you proof everything that it's correct.
I looked at it briefly when I got it and then the
Yeah,
headache, and I said,
Yeah.
yeah, I hear you.
I don't
I
want
hear you.
So if I can go back to the round church then,
Yes,
so we're going to need to get somebody to do the cement pads for those benches though.
right, and he's got that ready
because
too.
He did.
But so
he
can
went
you
with that.
touch base with him on the RFPs?
Yes, we've been talking
Okay.
back and forth
Yeah,
quite a little bit, yeah. Or emailing back and forth, I should say, about these benches.
and do you
First-
know where
yeah.
they're gonna be stored?
Yes, in the town garage.
Okay,
They'll be
perfect.
unloaded. That was the whole, so this company had to have, do you need a forklift? Do you need this? Do you need that? Where are they gonna be? Does or does the ARPA money need to meet the American Build Requirements law or whatever? There were like 11 questions and I said, Josh, I can't answer a single one of these. And he actually had to have Connie help to answer some of those. So it just was as of today that we got all the
Oh, my lord.
all the little pieces in place, and like he said, he was just not dealing with that. And then, so I wonder if, so besides, well, good, if he's got the concrete on his list,
He
then it
said
would
concrete,
also
right?
be,
No, though.
then I'm assuming that Pete's crew could at least install the benches with the bolts into the concrete by then. I don't know that we need another estimate. It's gonna be 7 to 9 weeks before
The benches
the
are here.
benches arrive, yeah. Once they're
Do you-
ordered.
Now,
so
will
that
we,
would
if
be-
7 to 9 weeks, actually, that's only September, that'd be perfect.
Yeah,
Cause you'd
yeah.
still be able to use them.
yeah.
Do you
'Cause
want me to
I-
pull up his order of operations listing of his projects and he said he sent us?
Or send it to us? Or,
Pete's
sure,
Who are you talking about?
Josh sent you and I and Fran maybe? His order of operations and his steps that are coming up on those projects. I'll
Was
show.
this prior to flood?
Yes,
Okay, yeah, why don't you?
can you see my screen?
Yep,
So yeah, it starts with the picnic tables and such, which now have been done. And so then it goes through then the cement softball field. He has to do he was gonna do that RFP. Talk to different fence companies about the little bit of work on those fences, the fence of the softball field. He produced this. I have it up too. The one that I believe this is the one he sent to Tess
yes,
for her review.
did you see that?
I cannot hear.
did Josh sent you the list? This is probably this document about the request for proposal for the pickleball courts.
Yeah.
Did you got that?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna go over that and see what that. but
That's
we may
here as
talk about
item
this in a little bit again.
5?
Yeah,
5, and then item 6 is, seems like once the pickleball court is installed, then they have to get the parking lot installed. Once the parking lot is installed, then you install benches, picnic tables, shed, all of the
Yeah.
different little pieces of the puzzle, and then the water spigot and hose.
Yeah.
So this
it's
is kind of his
possible
plan.
that he was, and maybe that's on the other list, that he was gonna go ahead and order the benches and the things that Justin Mansfield, the bike rack,
Right.
again, if there was a place to store them, because I knew he was anxious to get those before
Yep, because he's trying to
I-
spend.
I would
Yeah.
anticipate him doing that in the next few months. If I
Right.
had to guess based on our conversation, is yes, he did
Yes.
want to order these. I just think
Yeah.
the round church ones had a longer lead time,
Right,
and so get those ones
Yeah.
and those, you know, could relatively quickly be installed. Whereas
Yep.
these benches, we don't want to install till you do the pickleball courts.
right, correct.
But yes, I did get, he was saying that he wanted to get things that he could ordered. You know, I would say not like instantaneously like right now, but like definitely before September, October.
Awesome.
The only other thing I wanted to say about the round church is that I scrubbed some of those benches and put the algicide on it
Yep.
and got them, I mean, one of them took a long, long,
I
long time.
drove by and
But
saw,
the
I was like,
coolest
"What's going
thing,
on?"
yeah, is that every single time that I've driven by, I did that just 2 days before the 4th of July. There have been people sitting on all 3 of those benches every single time I've driven by. So
Oh,
it's kind of cool, but we couldn't oil them because we've never had 3 days
of-
of good forecast when I have time. So Tess and I are gonna finish, we're gonna scrub, the last 2 benches, which are not covered in lichen. Those should just be easy enough to scrub. And
Oh,
then
nice.
whenever we get a good 3
it
clear
looks so
days,
beautiful over there
then-
already.
This weekend, I think.
It's gonna be
yes, when
90
I'm around.
Saturday and Sunday.
Yes, and when it's not 90. So not only clear forecast, but
Low.
yes, low humidity and not so hot that I can't do it.
Mm.
Anyhow, so just that's the round church update. So
Awesome.
Brown's Court, we just
We just
sort of got
did.
some of it. Well, no, Tess wants to talk about the
Okay.
football, or does that fit?
Yeah.
That's Brown Court.
Can I talk about the pickleball noise? Because that has exploded.
You briefly, but I don't, okay, so let me
Okay.
say what Josh said first. So I just want to tell you, after you had concerns about pickleball noise, I went to Josh and said, Josh, I said, Tess has extreme pickleball. She's been doing some research and she's concerned about the noise. And he says, Denise, as of this moment, he goes, as of that vote, he goes, it's out of your hands. It's not your committee's issue anymore. It's a select board issue now. It's
Okay.
been moved up the chain.
Yeah.
I said, okay, I just wanted to make sure you knew.
Okay.
But please share with us,
Okay.
briefly
Yeah.
what you found.
Okay. In the last 6 or 7 weeks, I've seen more postings concerning pickleball noise. At our last meeting, I started talking about the typical pickleball noise registered at 70 decibels at 100 feet. Earlier this week, and I think it was Sunday or Monday, I read a new posting that stated that the noise is at 85 decibels. If this is true, then I believe it violates or comes close to violating our zoning codes for residential areas.
You mean our
Noise or
noise decibel or
Yeah.
ordinance?
Yeah, there's okay. The other conflicting report that I found was the Environmental Protection Agency states to prevent hearing loss, people should average less than 70 decibels in a 24-hour period. Whereas I reported at the last meeting that OSHA recommended that we avoid extended periods of exposure of levels above 80 decibels, and above 90 is considered dangerous. And that's the problem I'm finding. I'm finding all of these conflicting. That's, I think, what's gotten my anxiety
Mhm.
up. Other issues that have come up, I really wanted to focus on the health. People who live in proximity of those courts, because of that kind of noise, that ping pong noise kind of thing, people have suffered from disrupted sleep, headaches, inability to concentrate. Somebody said high blood pressure, anxiety. For children, exposure to loud noises causes hearing loss, and that, of course, affects education. People complained about not being able to enjoy peace in their own home. For people who are working from home, the noise interferes with their business phone calls, Zoom calls. Real estate, this was brand new. This came up, I believe, yesterday or the day before. And one of the things that they're saying, it's the impact that pickleball courts have on real estate, the ones that are close. Distance across the street, it could have a negative to 20% effect on the price, the value of your home. 1 or 2 blocks away, negative 5 to 10. 3 blocks away, neutral to negative 5%. 4 to 6 blocks away, neutral to positive 5%. 6 to 20 blocks away, positive 1 to 5%. More than 1 mile away, neutral to positive 2%.
I I know you've got statistics. I find it unbelievable that 20 blocks away you'd hear pickleball court.
So they're saying no statistics, that's what that's a.
But the interstate
no-
is right
no
there,
impact.
too.
You've got the school, you've got recess, you've got the interstate.
Did you watch some of the videos that she sent?
Yes.
That was pretty powerful and I watched some of those, but I agree, it's not our point about that. But here was my thought about that. I would almost want to ask them to hold off on pickleball. Perhaps baseball field #1 should be, be going down there because, they may not be able to fix the first one.
You
that's
you
how-
couldn't
that's
fit
how-
them both. Their
Mm,
outfields would
that's what I
overlap too
wondered.
much.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
And I
Okay.
think we've gone.
Just if you
we went
look at
to
the imaging
Josh.
of the two.
We
Okay,
went to Josh and Josh says, Denise, it's not your issue anymore.
yep.
And I'm
And I-
like, okay.
I feel like it'll be popular for a while, then it'll probably die out a little bit, or it could stay popular. Most people are gonna be, some people, 50% will be at work, so 50% will be not at work. It'll be during, it's not gonna be, I don't think it's gonna be a constant
Thing.
thing.
And then
Yeah.
also too,
Well-
South Burlington, they don't have, and I mean, their hours are stupid. You could play pickleball till 10 o'clock at night.
Yep.
That's why we can say pickleball courts open at this time, they close at this
Yes.
time. So we'll have, or the town will have control. I mean, it's ridiculous to keep them open till 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
I mean, and open them up, I think they open up at 6 AM.
Yeah, I think it's 6 or 7 now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It is.
And so I think with hours of operation is going to be key. And I almost want to say, maybe we should just try dawn to dusk first and see what happens. Or maybe right out of the gate, we say open and close.
8 to 8.
Well, see, again, it's out of our hands, but I
It's
guess
a select board.
I would think, and maybe this is one of the things kind of that Gary was alluding to me, the select board will want to, I think that's a thing that should have been voted on, like whether to have pickleball or not and bocce or not. But the select board already, they
But they
approved it.
charged our committee
Yes, I know,
to come up with,
right, and we gave them the recommendations.
right,
And
they were the ones that
right, so I'm saying
decided
that
it.
They should have,
Right.
before they go ahead
But we can,
with our
see,
suggestions.
they can control the hours, they can.
And we can make those suggestions before it's complete. Before it opens per se.
With signage and stuff.
With
that-
signage.
That we put on as well.
See, I have a real problem with when new information comes out like this. Do you just plunge ahead and say, well, it's not my problem? I feel like maybe I should send something to the select board.
That would be
and-
more, that's where you would have to go with this, if that was the,
I just,
it's important, I think it's very important to bring up big concerns that are coming up. I mean, so, the Samansky Park, whatever it is, just had, the neighbors have put lawsuits up.
yeah, that's the one,
I
that's the
mean,
park,
that's
to
the
me,
one that
that's
brought
like the
to
only
us.
park in Vermont that's complaining. None of the other ones. There's
Mm.
one in Woodstock, right next to the golf course, and golf course is an etiquette thing. And as far as I know, no one is complaining. When we were playing golf, coming down 1, 2, and 3, you could hear the pickleball. But I didn't mind, we were right next to each other. I didn't mind it. I thought it was kind of cool.
But you weren't putting
But
your
you-
little kid to bed.
But you're not in your own home. That's my whole point. It's if you're in your own home, you should have the right to be able to be inside your home and have peace and quiet. Some of these people hear it with their windows closed. Some people have installed fountains to try to distract the noise.
But again, it's not our, it's.
Exactly.
It's
It's
the
not our,
select, it's in the select
it-
board's
it-
hand now.
It is,
So
but
if you felt that strongly, I think it's
Yeah.
something you
okay.
could share that information with them.
Mhm.
Okay.
You know, and then they can decide what to do with it and.
Or maybe when you go, or maybe we decide as a committee, I'm not saying we do, but we say, based on information out there, we recommend that you put the hours of open and close this for the peace and sanctity of the neighbors, and we could make that recommendation as a committee to them.
Yeah, I don't know, part of it's, you read this stuff on Facebook and it's just this conflict and the fights and it's ugly. It's ugly.
Yeah,
It's ugly.
but I mean,
Mhm.
you could say that with baseball and the kids and the playground down with Esplanade,
Absolutely.
you could say that down there
I
with
could
that.
say that with the trucks going in and out of my driveway or my yard with the
because
town trucks.
trucks.
I mean, I'm telling you, they're loud. When they drop their plows and every single one of them drop
And
their
it- it-
plows.
And this isn't the volume though, it's the pitch that they're
It's-
concerned
it's-
about.
It's,
You know, and
it's
they
the
create,
pitch.
but they are trying to create new kinds of paddles, new kinds
Yeah,
of.
and we know the new
this, new kinds of
technology is
that, that
coming.
it's- Yeah. But I kind of get it. It's like, why, if you were the select board, why start yourself out in a bad spot? That's more, I think, again, it's the select board's decision,
Right,
And I think it's valid for you to present that, but, and it doesn't have to be from our committee. It can
exactly.
be Tessa's,
Yeah.
you were the one that researched it, and we all thought it was the right thing, and suddenly all this information is coming out. And then at least they've heard it, they can decide what to do, and
Mm.
whether they want to limit it or change their mind and put bocce in. I'm just, we don't have to make that decision because
Right.
we.
Okay.
And
we
I,
gave
I
I
it
agree.
hate to
And the
say
one
that-
in
one
our
thing I
best-
want to just mention too is, I understand and I respect your like diligence in trying to, look at this, but I also want to remind everybody about sort of how the internet works and that you're only going to hear the negative side of things because
Mhm.
most often if people are fine with it, they're not going to post I love having a pickleball court like next to my house, like in the park. You're gonna
Mm.
hear from the folks who are having trouble with it, and I'm not discounting that in any way. But I also recognize that like as you go down these rabbit holes, you kind of find similar articles that say the similar things. I mean, that's true in any instance that you start going down some of these article areas. And again, I am not discounting your concerns. I am not discounting these articles that you've sent or anything like that. I just sort of want to put that in your ear as well, is that you're not going to hear from those who are fine with it and happy with it. You're going to hear from those who are struggling. That's just the way it kind of goes.
And once again, I think, I may be totally wrong, but I think that Browns Court neighborhood is so ecstatic that there's not going to be low-income housing there.
Well, that's my other concern, Denise. That's what I think I got kind of swept away because they were excited, but I don't want to make it worse for them. And I can see where looking at some of this stuff with the house decline, the health issues, I think it's making it worse. That's just
I
my,
see, I disagree. I don't think so. But I mean, you're,
But
as
see-
a
but
citizen,
see-
you're welcome
see,
to,
and part of it, Denise, is that the other part is when I go to Browns Court and I hear the traffic and all of that, and they say that if you have that ambient noise, that it can kind of cover it up. But we don't know like the decibel level of the ambient noise. So we can't say, is that enough to cover up that pickleball noise? And again, it's just the nature of the beast. And part of the problem is that I spent quite a bit of time trying to find like a medical study pertaining particularly to pickleball noise. It's not there yet.
Mhm.
So I had to settle for just this impulse noise is what they call it, in general terms. And as far as I can tell, there aren't too many things that have the kind of impulse noise that the pickleball does. because it's constant. Whereas, you know, some ambient noise, like somebody hitting a baseball, that's actually louder than a pickleball. But it doesn't happen with the frequency
Or the
that,
pitch.
that pickleball does, or the pitch.
Mm.
So that's the other part of the problem. If there
Yeah.
was one place of where you could find an actual medical study or any kind of study that pertains strictly to the type of noise generated by pickleball, but it's not there yet because pickleball is still a relatively new game and it exploded in 2022. And that's where, you know, some of this stuff started to show up,
Mhm.
but it's really kind of exploded, I think, in the last 2 months, maybe, from what I'm seeing.
Mm.
And on the other, can I just finish it up?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. One member who was a tennis player bought a house, found out that his court was going to be converted to pickleball. He was excited, but after, and he actually started playing. He bought a paddle and a ball and he played. And he said, after 3 weeks, he said, I felt pretty good. And my skills as a tennis player, you know, transferred over. But then he said after 3 months, he said something's wrong and he was beginning to have issues with anxiety and whatnot. And it's that constant noise. Another member contacted the Center for Disease Control and told them of his concerns about residents living too close to pickleball courts, that they were showing signs of PTSD and that this will be a huge expense to Medicare, Medicaid, insurances, et cetera. He was kind of excited to report that he was given a case number and that the rep that he spoke to took him seriously. Cities are also working on ordinance specific to pickleball courts, and residents gave mixed reviews of the mitigation that was used. Mixed acoustic fence was one that has been mentioned several times, sound quilts, sound screens, etc. And again, mixed reviews. Some people said, yes, it helped. Some people said, no, it didn't.
Mhm.
And that's the other concern. If you build this court and then you're getting complaints, what do you do?
Yep.
You know?
I mean, the courts are definitely gonna get built. They've already been approved. The RFP is going out. And I mean, I feel bad, but I talked to Josh and as he says, it's
Yeah.
out of our hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that, you know, the horse has already left the barn.
Right.
So, but I think that we can help with hours of operation, which South Burlington doesn't even have. I mean, they have ridiculous, in my opinion, they have ridiculous hours of operation, where I think that we can handle it. I mean, and Tess, I don't, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I don't know the sport well enough, but I just can't believe that their 4 courts for Richmond residents are gonna be going nonstop all day long.
Yeah, that's something that I don't know either. I don't think any.
Yeah, and it
anyone
just,
does.
And we do have the trees, right? That's all.
and we have the trees, and also maybe,
Interstate
and
noise
if it
too.
does get bad, maybe they say Richmond residents only here. And like Lake Iroquois, you have to have a patch that says you're allowed to be here.
Yeah.
Or you have to pay a due and you know, so maybe if it does get to that point, it's only Richmond residents that use it.
Can you do that with?
Yeah.
We can't do that. The select
Yeah, we can't do it, but the
Because
select
Yeah,
board
this
but
is
I
not-
mean, can
but
that
the
be
select
done
board
with
can.
ARPA money? I mean, because
Of course you can,
that's
It's a
it's federal funds. I don't
but
think-
it's federal
public
funds to
park.
build something. We're the ones
Public
that
park.
police and policy.
Okay.
So, I mean, if it gets so bad, then you limit the hours and you limit the usage. So it's only your residents that are using it.
And if you wanted to research the town, what is the town ordinance noise even? Then, you know, that might be,
Right. And then the other thing
I-
too, we're only gonna be using it probably, I would say, May 1st to October 30th. I mean, that's what I golf
in Vermont.
in Vermont, and that's what I golf is.
Oh, yours truly has only not played, I think, the month of January outdoors in Vermont.
See, that's another thing. We could close them for the winter.
Yeah,
Oh, I mean, they would.
so there's only the summer months kind of thing. So, I mean, there's a lot that you can do to,
I think we just throw it out there and let it lie in how it lies.
and then we don't go there with all this
Yeah,
information.
we don't plant any of this information in
we don't
anybody's
plant
head.
any. And,
and
and
just
that's
see
how
where
I
it
feel.
goes.
That, let them figure it out. People read the paper, they know what's happening in South Burlington. If someone were to come to us and say, blah, 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 we're not gonna allow it before 6 AM. And we're not gonna allow it after,
Right, they go to the select board and say that, okay, this is,
we're gonna
You
have
know.
rules,
but I don't think we should just.
not stop
Let's
it
just see
because
how
of
it
these
goes.
reports. I agree.
Yeah,
And just as a final note, and I didn't really want to concentrate on this part, but there have been more and more noises about suing towns and stuff that, well, Braintree is going through a miserable thing too, and I think
so then we turn it
someplace
into
else.
tennis courts.
Yeah, exactly. Then you turn it into a tennis court.
Turn it into
Basketball
a
court.
multi-use court.
Yeah.
You throw up some
Yeah.
basketball hoops on each side and you got a basketball court. You got tennis courts. At least there's a ground there to lay a
Yeah.
foundation of some other recreational use on it.
That's true.
That's a good point.
Okay.
Again, it's out of our hands.
Out of
Right.
their hands.
That's the thing, it's a select board thing, and even us giving recommendations for times, that's already beyond us.
It's
you
a
know.
select board thing.
It's whether, yes, or, yeah, and if there's a recreation committee or a recreation,
I
person, so-
appreciate,
but
that you brought all this to us, but I think, that horse has left the barn and it's not
See-
it's a select board item now.
See, I just feel that as part of the advisory committee, that if I find something, that I should share it with,
Mhm.
that I should share it with them.
we can't say you shouldn't go. We
You
can't
as
say
a
you don't.
person
You
can-
as,
You as a
Maybe
private
you-
citizen can share anything you want.
yeah,
And I would talk to Josh I would talk to Josh if you were to write letters from you. I would talk to Josh first
Okay. Okay.
and just see what his recommendation might
Okay.
be. So,
Yeah.
Will do.
I mean, I think it's gonna definitely outweigh the good for the community. It's gonna outweigh any negative
I
for
agree.
that court
I
up there.
agree.
I don't think that court needs to be shut down. Like I said, it lays the groundwork for something else to be there.
Yeah. And if it doesn't work out, you turn it into a multi-use.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, then they can complain about the noise of the basketballs.
Yeah, exactly. All right, moving on, because we've got less than 50 minutes. Let's see. Any other committee updates, summaries to provide to committee? I got nothing. Any next steps for the committee on Round Church and Browns Court? We talked about
kinda
Tess is
what
gonna
we-
contact Josh about the RFPs when you're
About the-
heading. You're gonna be in touch with Josh to make sure that everything is correct on the RFP. I'm gonna call the two Johns. And, community update, on Front Porch Forum. I think that's a great idea. And I think it also, if I had my say about how it was done, I would love to put all around Church Park, Browns Court update, and then going forward, this is how much money we have left. And our last park is Volunteers Green. And then explain about the summit.
Yeah.
And then, tell them what we're doing now, like information, but I would break it down to 3 parks so that it's not confusing for them.
and make
Well,
sure
I
there's
think
no
that was
noise.
the begin, because we really did update on that last one about that, so I was to say blah, blah, blah. This update is to inform town residents about the 3-park committee work regarding improvements to Volunteers Green, but there certainly could be a sentence or two you know, I mean, we want to describe again, that's what we've done.
Right.
But
I think
I
it's
tell you what,
important.
this is still a really draft, so we.
Yeah,
And it was after the planning commission meeting and getting some of the response, I had to write it down just to get it out of my brain.
yeah,
And then later I said to Fran, is this, what do you think about this? And then, so she just looked at it today
okay.
and she's made
I saw
quite
her
a few
comments.
different corrections on there. Did you saw it then?
Oh,
Those
no, no,
other
I
things?
didn't.
Yeah.
Did she
Right.
send it to everyone?
No. It's just she's correcting what I
So
have put.
How
So
about
it's in
this? How
final,
about if
it's
you
not-
send it to the whole committee as a draft?
Yeah.
We work on it, bring our thoughts, and, or maybe we do it on the computer and get it together,
Yeah.
and then we publish it.
Yep,
Maybe
well-
in the Times Inc. for the people that don't have computers.
Correct. That's just what that's what Fran and I have been talking about too, so.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
And then each I go, we did this and then the July flood happened and we did this and then the December flood happened and we did this and then, it's more like we're trying, but Mother Nature
It's not
and
helping.
other things. And then just to explain what, the summit but yep, I'll put her corrections in. I'll put some other things that we said and then, we'll have everybody just look at it and see what you
Make sure
think.
there's no walking paths.
Exactly.
Well, that's, yeah, and that's
that we voted
exactly.
no on the walking path.
That is not.
I mean, I heard it yesterday at work.
I
I'm
know.
like,
Yeah.
People
no.
keep throwing it out and I'm like, no, you're not. The basketball court, the walk path, it's just not.
Can
it's
read you
Not
sustainable.
gonna
the
happen,
sentence,
exactly.
right?
Unless you, and you know what I tell them? I get so angry at work when people bring it up. I say, unless you've got a pot of gold that you're willing to give to the volunteer green
Mhm.
fund, I said, it's never gonna happen.
Yeah.
Because there's just not enough money.
Yeah,
And then you
I
feel
made
like
sure it
saying,
was
"Why
in
don't you
here.
attend
I
our
just
meeting?"
can't find where
Yeah.
to put
So
it.
you know where we
Exactly.
are at.
Yeah,
Did we decide? on
I have a sentence. I just, like, well, we talked about some things that the community brought up to us, such as the park, but have decided, we looked at the possibilities for an accessible paved walking path, which was ultimately rejected due to floodplain concerns. That's,
And now
and
you
then,
can
then my
put,
next sentence
and was
was,
voted on
and then the December
unanimously.
flooded. Yeah, and, concern, yeah, I can put that on there.
So,
Um,
unanimously taken off the
Yeah.
list. voted
Yes.
down.
mm,
I will.
any other items for discussion? Kendra, you got anything?
No, I think we still have to schedule our next meeting now.
We do.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
So let's talk about the action items are mostly getting some
Yeah.
prices for things and things like that. So I think it depends on how quickly we think we could even get the ball rolling on those, not necessarily having the
Mhm,
pricing,
mhm.
and whether we need meetings to help hold us accountable, or if we feel like we can do more work on our own and then meet, to discuss those items, because we have a bunch of different little tasks we've kind of
Yeah,
divvied out.
Yeah.
Mostly
I
having to
think-
do with then the,
I
volunteer
think the
screen.
first question I'm gonna ask the two Johns, I'm gonna call the experts in construction. I got a feeling they're gonna say, Denise, you have to have a structural engineer. And that will be good to know if not, and then maybe we just, as much as I hate to, pull the trigger and just do the structural
Mhm.
engineer.
mhm.
And I would say I think we need to meet sooner in case we have to do that and we have to decide. I mean, do we even have the power to decide that, or is that a select board decision? They've
No,
already
they
approved
already
it.
approved it, remember?
Then,
Expenditure of that.
Yeah, they've already
that's
so
approved
if
the
that
they
money.
say that they
expenditure.
need that, then I guess we have to go ahead with that, with the structural engineer stuff, right? So I
Right.
don't know that we need to meet to discuss that, because if A has to come before B, then the
We
next
just
step
pull
would
the
be to say,
trigger.
hey, whoever's in charge of hiring them, I'm not even sure anymore, can you get us on their schedule or whatever?
I think it would be Josh, but I think
I don't
he
know
would
what they
say,
do.
do you have time to call them, Denise or Kendra?
I think, yeah, and, or was, I don't know if Fran was also in communication with them. It was a
Yeah.
little bit wishy-washy where it was coming through. But
Exactly.
I think the key is that who the Johns are they gonna say that we need that? And if so, then I think we
We just pull the trigger.
do it.
I mean, the select board approved it, I think in,
Right, so it's out of our,
yeah.
it's that
But,
wishy-washy
you know what I
area.
can do? I can ask Josh that too. Let me just run that by Josh, since it's already been approved a while back. So what are you thinking? 2 weeks?
I think it could be a little longer than that, because how long will it take a contractor to get there to look at it?
Yeah, that's true too.
And even, like I've asked Justin about playground and, he hasn't even been able to get back to me about that yet.
Are we
And I
thinking,
think it's a little bit,
4 weeks
you
out,
know,
22nd.
I think if we could ask Bob Marquis, do you know him?
Yeah,
well
I know
enough that you
Bob.
feel
I
like I think
how
that
about
would be
invite him for
something-
the next meeting?
Yes, to say, is that feasible so that we, are we looking at A and B? Or are we just only have one scenario that we're looking at? That would make it a whole lot easier. I don't want, anybody to put a whole lot of time into a playground design that may or may not happen.
How about
Well,
August
and my-
22nd?
The other question becomes, is in the concept of public outreach and discussion, at what point is it make more sense to not price all, some of these things out and just have an open public forum for discussion,
Mhm.
to say, what if this, what if that, like, what do people think of these things, and getting
Mhm.
public input at that stage as opposed to,
Right.
at the dollar
Yeah.
value stages, which
But do
comes
you-
first, right?
Yeah.
But
Right.
don't you
And which
think
do
it would be easier for the public to understand if
We had all the
we,
prices.
That's
if
why we
have
wanted
all
the imaging
yeah,
from
all the
John, if we
prices
had
too
that.
about, we
Well, I
can
don't
have
think the
this
public needs to
pavilion.
understand all of the prices, in my opinion, because it's gonna come down to what we can do and that we might not be able to do everything at all. But there's a lot of questions out there that we want to get public input on. Thoughts on the band shell, thoughts on where the playground should go, getting all of that conversation out there so that it's being heard. And if we wait too late in the process, then it doesn't sound like we really are actually in any way listening.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't want it to be that we're just doing it to check the box.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And don't you think we need probably to have, I mean, we have to have some options though. Not that we've decided, but here is A and B for a band shell and here's A and B for a playground. And if-
Right.
maybe there's not A and B on a playground. And then we're just asking people to help with some input on the design.
And
So
like,
I think we need to know whether it's.
right, and one of the
So-
biggest things for me is having handicap accessibility. That's huge on my list. And I also think if we do this informational, get their input, we should do it in the month of September when people are back for school, because we'll have more of a younger, not that we need a younger or older, but we'll have everybody back because school is started.
The only
see
downside to
what I'm-
that is that puts us really late in the timeline, and you really should be tying down numbers by that point.
Right.
And so
But
I was
we're
thinking we
already
should
in
meet and say,
August. Next
we
week
should
is
meet.
August.
Well, that's what I'm saying if we meet in like 3 weeks and we discuss how we would do this meeting, and then the next meeting being a couple weeks after that, we might have closer to numbers at that point, but we might not. They may need more time than that. Then you would, but that's still August. Like 3 weeks from now is
The 15th.
the 15th, and 2 or 3 weeks from then is still late August, beginning of September.
Right. Do you want to meet the 15th then?
That's what my opinion. And it may be a shorter meeting saying like, okay, check it in, but I think it should be planning this public outreach event.
Yeah, you know what? If nothing else, we can work on Jeannie's draft on the front porch forum thing and get that published
I was
and
gonna
get
say, I
that
hope
out.
that would be out in the next couple
Before
days.
that, I would
I
hope.
would hope that we could
Yeah.
just
Oh,
like when
okay.
Fran did it, she sent.
And the
she
next
sent
week at the
out
latest.
all of us. She says, here's what I got. What do you think?
Yeah,
Change a sentence or two. And I would like to do that in the next within the next week, really.
Yeah, I would say by
Okay.
the end of
That's
next
my
week would be
thought.
ideal.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then people have, here's what they're thinking about. you
Yeah.
know, A and B.
perfect. All right, so meeting on the 15th then?
I might not be able to make it.
I
'cause
don't
on
think I'm around
vacation,
then
I
either, but
don't
just a
know
minute.
What I'm doing.
Okay,
Yeah, I gotta look too. I don't, and there's something about that week of the teens.
Ugh,
Or it could be early the next week. I'm not saying it but
Oh,
15th of Thursday.
would
yes.
that work for you,
I think
Jess?
I have relatives here then.
You have relatives.
just
That
look-
might not work because Megan is on vacay. Jeannie's got relatives.
What about the early the next week, the 19th or 20th?
I'm wide open.
That's okay for me too.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Which is the
Tuesday
preference?
again?
Tuesday?
Tuesday?
Because then
Tuesday or
it's not a
Thursday,
Monday when the
Tuesday,
select
either.
board, I don't know if the select board has a meeting that week, but
Tuesday the 20th.
Tuesday, the 20th?
sounds good to me.
All right. Perfect.
So nice to see all of you guys again.
I know, I missed.
So I vote that we adjourn this meeting of our committee and it's not even 8:30.
Do I have a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Hi,
All those opposed, the ayes have it. Kendra, feel better.
Yes.
you too
Yeah.
over there.
Thanks.